you recall Ms. Heard speaking with either of the second set of officers?
No, I don't remember if she did or not.
Did these officers, the second set, look around Penthouse 3?
I can't guess, so I don't know.
Ms. Pennington, have you ever personally witnessed Mr. Depp physically attack Ms. Heard?
Yeah, can you be specific to physically attacked?
Did you ever witness Mr. strike Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp throw anything at Ms. Heard?
I never witnessed him throw anything at her, around her, yes.
The question is, did you ever witness Mr. Depp throw anything at Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp kick Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp physically injure Ms. Heard, cause her an injury?
I didn't see it.
So that's a no, right?
I didn't see it.
Your Honor, at this point, I start asking Ms. Pennington some questions, so we'll play that, but maybe we just approach to just get straight on some exhibits, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Are we ready to start?
Yes, yes, sir.
Now, I understand that you've testified a number of times about some of the events that we touched on yesterday, right?
Yes.
Has there ever been anything in any of those prior sworn statements or testimony that you've given that has prevented you from telling the truth?
No.
And is all of your prior sworn testimony, including the testimony you gave yesterday, true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Are you here today on behalf of one side or the other? And by that, I mean on behalf of Amber or on behalf of Johnny?
No.
Would you consider yourself adverse or hostile to either party?
No.
Any other time that you can remember?
Not specifically, no.
Was there a name for what you describe as Mr. Depp's different self?
Yes.
What was that name?
We called it the monster.
Who is we?
All of us. Me, Johnny, Amber, and anyone else in the inner circle that was privy to the private things that would happen.
How do you know that Johnny called it the monster?
He named it that.
You heard him refer to this other version of himself as the monster directly?
Either heard or saw it written in a text.
Did you receive texts from Mr. Depp referring to this other version of himself as the monster?
I can't remember specifically any of them.
But you do recall hearing or reading Mr. Depp directly referring to himself as the monster?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
She asked for my help.
And over the course of your relationship, when Amber needed your help, you tried to be there for her, right?
Yes.
What do you mean by scary?
I was scared for Amber. I was sad for her, and I was also sad for Johnny. Because he is my friend, too. And I really wanted them to be able to get it together.
Why were you scared for Amber?
He could be very unpredictable. And she didn't have a lot of self-preservation.
What specifically, what type of harm were you worried about for Amber?
In the beginning, I wasn't worried. Towards the end, when the physical abuse was more evident, I was worried. I was worried for her physical safety. I was worried that when he turned, he might accidentally do something that was worse than he ever intended.
When you say, talk about abuse, is this signs of abuse that you personally observed?
Can you explain what you mean specifically by that?
Did you observe physical effects on Amber of that abuse?
Yes.
You testified a little bit yesterday about an incident between Johnny and Amber that took place in Hicksville. You remember that?
Yes.
Tell me as best you can everything that you remember about that.
We were sitting around the campfire. I don't remember who the larger group was. And Amber and Kelly Sue were sitting on a chair together, hugging, and Johnny came up and said, "Get your hands off my woman." And it was surprising because it was a very benign two friends sitting on the same chair hanging out. And it was also surprising because Johnny had been hanging out with everybody in a friendly way, and a switch flipped when that happened. And Amber got up, went to go comfort Johnny, and then they went back to their trailer.
How would you describe Johnny's tone when he said, "Get off my woman"?
At first, I thought it was a joke. I thought he was kidding because it was so unexpected from the way that the rest of the night had been going. And then at some point, I think Amber realized that it was not a joke and got up to diffuse the situation.
Did you perceive Kelly Sue to be acting inappropriately in any way toward Miss Heard?
No.
Had you seen when you said a switch flipped in Mr. Depp? That was your testimony, right?
Just now?
Yeah, just now.
Yeah.
Was it surprising to you to see?
No.
And why not?
He switched sometimes.
And what do you mean by that when you say he switched?
Johnny would be acting like his wonderful self for a certain portion of an occasion where people were hanging out, or sometimes just privately at home. And I never knew what caused it. The switch would happen to where he would either disappear or go somewhere off by himself, or his mood would change to something darker. And yeah.
What do you recall? And we'll get to specific incidents in a little bit. But when you say his mood would change to something darker, do you remember any specific examples of times that you witnessed when his mood changed to something darker?
I can't remember at this moment specific times when it would happen. Generally, he would go away from where the rest of the people were. Amber would follow to comfort. Sometimes they wouldn't come back, sometimes they would.
Okay. And tell us about the next morning at Hicksville, what you saw and observed.
I went to the trailer to go knock on the door. I think they had already left, though. I went in and saw the disarray.
Describe the disarray as best you can.
Like I said yesterday, the light fixtures had been knocked off. Things were strewn about the trailer, cushions off the couch bank.
Over the course of now, you've known Miss Heard since 2003, right?
Yes.
Have you ever known her to knock light fixtures off a wall?
No.
Have you ever known her to throw pillows and cushions off couches?
No.
Have you ever known her to get in a rage and destroy property?
No.
Have you ever known her to threaten someone's life?
No.
What did Amber tell you? Did you ever have a conversation with Miss Heard about what happened in that trailer in Hicksville?
Yes.
I'd like to fast forward a little bit in time, Miss Pennington, to an episode that we talked about yesterday to some extent. Do you remember being with Amber after something that happened the day before she went on the James Corden show in December 2015?
Yes.
What do you remember? And I know this is painful and emotional, but give me your best recollection of what you recall from that time period.
From the night before?
Were you with Amber the night before the James Corden appearance?
Yes.
And were you with her the day of the James Corden appearance?
Yes.
And did you observe Miss Heard and Miss Heard's residence the day before the James Corden appearance and the day of the James Corden appearance?
Yes.
So with that, tell me everything that you can remember, starting with the day before. And I may interrupt you and ask you to clarify certain things, but that's everything you remember.
So she asked me to come over to her residence, PH3 or PH5. I don't remember which one I entered. And she was very upset. Her face was red, swollen. The hair had been ripped out of her head. I went through all of the penthouses. She didn't cancel. I don't think I even slept that night, watching her just to make sure she didn't.
Is that because you were worried she had a concussion?
Yes.
Why did you tell her that you were going to go take pictures throughout the penthouses?
Why wouldn't I?
Ms. Pennington, I'm gonna. You saw a few selected pictures yesterday. I'm gonna show you a number of pictures today that we need to go through, and I'll ask you some questions about them. Okay?
Are you able to see Exhibit 15?
Yeah, I can see it. Can you, Ms. Pennington?
Yes.
Ms. Pennington, does this picture truly and accurately